I'm Jordan Melinda, and Carter Hutton is now the starter.
I'm Lucas Adams, and Michael Ozuna hit his first home run for the Cardinals.
I'm Pat Booze, and my wife is definitely not buying any tickets to the Lucas Adams fan club right now.
I'm the new addition, Derek Lutz, and I'm getting married, and she's more pissed that I'm here than Lonzo Ball is at UCLA.
We are the Sandlot Crew.
Oh, you didn't know? He shoots! He scores! He could go all the way!
Oh my God! So, welcome, Derek. Luke, I feel like I have to elaborate real quick. Do you remember posting that video on my Facebook a while back?
Which one?
The one where you're driving and I told you not to do this and drive?
Yes, yeah.
When she called me out on it, you put that little frowny face emoji on her comment. Yeah, that set her off. So she's not exactly happy with you.
Oh, what's new? I'm always the bad guy. I'm the fall guy. I've dealt with it, and it's cool. I embrace it now.
That's basically how this is going to go. Yeah, Lucas is the bad guy. Derek, welcome. We have our new member this week, the fourth member of this ragtag group.
Hey guys,
Sorry.
happy to be here,
Sorry you had to miss last week.
We were a little pissed off at you in the nicest way possible last week because we wanted to have the whole crew, but I'm really glad you're here.
Let's be honest, it was more Lucas than anybody that was pissed off. But hey, Lucas is easy to piss off, apparently.
Well, like we said, Lucas is going to be the bad guy, so I'm not too worried about it.
That's fine.
Okay, Jordan, how you doing, man? What's first segment we're gonna do? It's now called Taking the Field. Jordan, hit me with Taking the Field segment.
Well, taking the field, talking about the Blues, and Jake Allen has officially been demoted, fellas. Carter Hutton is now the number one. He is behind the pipes as the starter. He has been shown it all year that he has deserved his spot. I enjoy watching Hutton work. I've seen him steal many games from the Blues, and it's very exciting to watch. I'm very happy for him, and with this opportunity, I feel that he definitely deserves it. Jake Allen, however, he doesn't have much of his mojo right now. He hasn't had it all season. I'm pulling for Jake, though. I mean, he's like I said last week, he's under contract with us for the next 3 or 4 years, so they're gonna have a big decision on what they're gonna have to do with him. How do you guys feel about the situation? You guys you guys support Carter or?
Oh yeah,
I do too.
He's a free agent. What do we do?
Well, it's
How do we deal with the situation?
a career backup. You're not gonna give him a buku amount of bucks, but at the same time, he's playing like a starter. But can he handle the starter games though? Because a normal starter in the NHL puts in about almost 50 to 60 games.
Yeah.
Can he handle that? Can he handle that?
He's shown it. He has shown it in some of these games this year. I mean, I believe he went on a 9-1 stretch at one point. They weren't just low conference games. These guys under 500, they were actually good teams.
Yeah.
I totally agree, but it's almost like there's a stigma with Blues goalies. It always seems like we have a backup that's always better than our starter, and we're ready for that guy to get shipped out of town.
It's been a revolving door since the early 2000s. Roman Turek and Brent Johnson. It's been a revolving door since then. And how many goalies have they gone through? Fred Brathwaite, Reinhard Davis.
10, just
Curtis Sanford, dude. I can name almost.
Osgood. Then we had
Chris Osgood.
Who was the one before?
Manny Legacy.
Who was the goalie we had before Elliott?
Halak.
Halak.
Yaro Halak.
Halak had that great season, and next thing you know, it was just like,
it's the weirdest thing. It's just been a revolving door goalie since pretty much the early 2000s.
I'm ready to give the guy a chance, though. I'm not going to say the Blues season is ready for a flop yet.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, we're not playing our best hockey right now.
No.
They proved that yesterday, not to date this podcast or anything, but they did kind of lapse there at the final 3 or 4 minutes against Dallas, and Dallas scored, tied it, went to overtime, and they just gave the puck up at least a half a dozen times.
But it almost seems like we're shipping these guys out, or ready for them to be hung in the off Broadway, so everybody could see, or ship their ass out of town. Why is it like we just can't score any goals either. No. On top of that, we gotta have them a lead for them to be able to do that. Not to touch on baseball just real quick, but Wayrock could go 8-9 innings and only let up one run, but you know what? It's still 1-0. They win. We got to be able to produce, and it's not. And according to what I heard, isn't it pretty much Pietrangelo and Steen? It's in the camps. That's how it kind of is going. From what was
talking about veteran-wise?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Carter Hutton too, he has 24 games as a starter right now. He's 16-7-2. I mean, he has a .935 percentile in goal save. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's just been outperforming all year, and like I said, we were riding the hot hand with Carter Hutton over Allen because Allen was just letting in those dumb, stupid mistakes and letting those goals in. But on the top of it, at the beginning of the year, our defense were scoring goals. Our defense had this top line in goals scored by their defensive players. And we haven't done that in a long time. And we were looking good. We were on fire. And then our injuries hit us. And our top guys weren't scoring. And that really hurt us. And I really feel that hurt Jake Allen as well, that our team wasn't scoring and producing goals when he was in goal.
I mean, what happened to Petro? There was at the beginning of the season, he was on pace to be he was getting votes already for Norris Trophy. He was in top contention for Norris Trophy, and now I don't even think he's in consideration in the top 10 anymore. He's just fallen off that much. The whole team has.
Was it the best defenseman?
Best defenseman, yeah.
Okay, it's kind of with those. Hockey's a little bit weird because there's a lot of names that we just don't. I'm not familiar with. What's Naismith's the best record, correct?
Say what?
Is that the MVP? Is the Naismith Award the
Naismith?
Is it the best team or is it the?
I don't know. I know President's the best record.
I thought Pronger won one time, but he also
Pronger won the Norris Trophy.
Norris, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then Jackman, he won the Calder. That's rookie.
Well, what do you?
The Vezina is the MVP for playoffs, though.
Gotcha. Okay, then what do we do? Just if these guys, and what have you done for me lately, town?
Exactly.
What do you, and that's what, especially Cardinals. We were expected to win, and with the Blues, we are too.
We're expected to win, but at the same time, I don't know. It's almost like I hate when everybody says this, but it's starting to become true. We are the Cubs of hockey.
Yes.
Every single year we have a good season, or something happens towards playoff time, and we either go on this crap stretch towards the playoffs, get knocked out in the first round, or somehow make it in the second round and then fall flat on our faces,
or wind up in the Western Conference Finals and completely just get our ass kicked.
That's the thing. Being a Blues fan for so long, it's just like getting beat up. It's like having that carrot dangling in front of your face, like this is the year. This is the year.
Exactly.
And every time we've been spoiled, we get to the playoffs a lot, but we've never got that carrot hanging in front of our faces, man.
We wound up in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago, and we were satisfied with that. as a town, we were just.
Because the thing was, it was the first time. The reason,
still lost.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was
I get where you guys are coming from.
It was the first time since the early 2000s that we made it that far.
Yes.
It was probably, and it's only the second or third time in our team's history, or no, probably the fourth or fifth time in our team's history since 1967 that we made it that far.
You're correct.
So,
and I can't say I can't disagree with you, but it's I guess with the Cardinals that we're just so spoiled that we expect to be, we get knocked down in NLCS, we're upset. We're not a happy camper. We're not that the Blues got, and I'd be one too. What? If we lose right now, that's okay. But my thing with the Blues is if that team who beats us in the playoffs, I want them to win it all. That's okay.
Because that gives us the excuse we want.
It gives us an excuse, and that's and you know what? We can't even say that the Cubs we're the Cubs of hockey because the Cubs won. The Cubs are on the verge of a really good decade. As long as Epstein keeps everything on check, and do you think it's Mike Yeo? And we're just
it's scapegoat, man. The whole coaching thing is a scapegoat. You can only blame the coach so many times. First it was Quinville, he gets tossed. Then it was Kitchen, then he gets thrown out, and then it's just been
it was Hitchcock and it
was Davis Payne there for a while too. He didn't do jack shit, and so they brought in Hitch. And Hitch, like, we praised him. We praised Hitchcock being like this second coming of Jesus Christ almost. And then it was, oh, he doesn't mesh well with the younger players. So what do? They get rid of Perron. They trade off Oshie. They do everything possible to get rid of the young core players that we had.
And we went on a limb and went and got back Perron, and then he's gone. You know, we didn't wrap him up for that. He got drafted in the expansion draft, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got picked up by Vegas.
Feels like, no, I agree, and it almost seems like with hockey, and I guess because Hitchcock won that Stanley Cup down there in Dallas, that it's like we praise him for that. Where there's multiple coaches in the NFL and MLB that have multiple championships, but in hockey it's something different. I guess it's because it's so hard to get there, and it's so hard to keep on going. Because hockey's a hard sport. You ever went and played roller hockey for 5 minutes? You're gassed.
Huh?
I mean,
that's why shifts are only in pro or
2.5 minutes.
No, not even that. Barely like 35, 45 seconds.
Yeah,
And I think the reason we cut the Blues so much slack because we've done this as a St. Louis town forever. When the Rams sucked, we felt at least we got the Cardinals, but they're getting that heat on the Blues now.
Yeah,
because the Cardinals aren't carrying the St. Louis name right now. They haven't been for the past few years, and we're looking for that. We want that. We're hungry. We need it somewhere.
Right on.
that is what was the 2000 Blues team that with Turek and Turgeon and Pronger,
President's Cup,
and everything, and we folded like the 04 Cardinals. We pretty much got into and that was one of the best hockey teams I've ever seen live.
But the thing was, though, I think back to that, and not to blame all the officiating, because you can only blame the officiating so much, but there was a lot of questionable calls that entire series, and that's how we ended up getting knocked out in the first round by fucking San Jose, the 8th seed. An 8th seed taking out a number 1 seed. That shouldn't happen. That's almost as bad as a 16 seed taking out a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Especially the caliber of players we had.
That's never happened, correct?
Oh man.
I think it might have.
16 never been one. Like a 15's beaten a 2. I think so.
Yeah, because
But I
Mizzou.
don't think a 16's ever won. Yeah.
Trust me, that bracket got busted real quick on that one. All right, so Lucas, it's on you now. Taking the field. What's your first segment?
The NFL Combine. I think it's what I love about the Combine in general is since I've been home, I am unemployed at the moment. I'm staying home with my son every day, and I love it. It's
Anybody's looking for somebody to come work for them, Lucas is always taking appointments, basically.
Yes, pretty much. I'm not going to sit here and give my resume over there. So, it's the NFL Combine. I think is great, and I watched a video of TJ Moe talking about his Combine experience, and he goes, nobody wants a 5'11" white guy that's muscle bound and can only run a 4.7, 8, 40. But he made some great catches, and the Rams even picked him up for a couple of games, and I thought that was kind of cool. But something about the NFL Combine, I feel like if I was even skilled enough back in the day to even just go and watch that, and it's like watching some of these guys just run and the routes they're doing, and like these guys are 20 years old, 21 years old, and it's always the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft, in my opinion, are like another holiday for me. So because once the Combine's done, when's the draft? In a month?
End of April.
End of April. So that's a month and a half, and that's one of my favorite days. I used to grow up and they would do the first round on Friday night, and they do the rest on Saturday and Sundays. I'm talking all day events where they break it down in like 4 days now, it's going to be very interesting to see. I think the Browns are going to trade that first round pick. They're going to trade that first pick. And I want to say it's going to go to the Jets because I think, from what I read last night from Schefter, that Elway's all in with Cousins. He wants to, it doesn't matter what it is, that Kirk Cousins will wind up in the NFL. NFL, in a Broncos uniform.
I can see that.
I can see that.
And Trevor Siemian will go back to being
Perennial backup.
a half-ass Alex Smith, in my opinion.
I don't see the Browns trading the number 1 pick.
I do.
I see them picking up Saquon Barkley at number 1 and then picking a quarterback number 3.
I don't know.
Barkley
I don't know.
first
I don't know
Because
if they
if you
pick
don't-
Barkley because look at their backfield as is. They got a jumbled up backfield as is. I don't know if they got enough room for Barkley.
It's like what we've been talking about for the past day or two, that Barkley will outwork and outperform anybody that's probably in the NFL, other than maybe than Fournette, Gurley, and
Give him time. Give him time.
It's and that's what hell, after the year Fournette had, he could have went in the top 3 instead of the top 10. In the bottom half of the top 10.
I will call this though: if Barkley does not go number 1, number 2 has the New York Giants has the pick. They will
Rosen?
take Saquon Barkley.
You think if
They are missing that. You put him with Odell.
But that's the real question. Who's
is
the
it
first?
Josh Rosen from he's from Cal, ain't he?
Yeah. It's
Josh
either
Allen.
A lot of people are talking Josh Allen.
I like
Josh
Josh
Allen from?
Wyoming, man.
Wyoming.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
He's
His
the diamond in the rough.
main concern right now that everybody's talking about is his accuracy. He's not looking that bad so far in the combine.
He helped himself the most out of any player that I watched at the NFL Combine. That guy came up and he showed what he can offer.
Yes.
They were questioning his accuracy because he comes from Wyoming.
Yes.
There's not a lot of attention on Wyoming.
It's a small D1 school. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
They have games, they play schools, but they're Wyoming.
but
It's not like playing for a Michigan or an Alabama.
Texas, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have the national spotlight. He helped himself more than anybody else could have helped themselves at the combine. I think that guy is the
all
number
those
one
guys from the
quarterback.
small
prospect.
schools and them kind of diamond in the rough type players. Joe Flacco came from where? New Hampshire or a very small school. I hate saying this guy's name, but Jay Cutler went to a very bad Vanderbilt team. But you know what? He's
Shout out to you, Dylan.
sorry, Jay Cutler's garbage. He is a dumpster fire, and all things considered.
Yeah, so is Flacco, but still.
Yeah. One second. Anyway.
Anybody that says
Flacco's
Flacco,
got a ring.
Flacco's got a ring, man.
yeah, but still.
Behind one of the best.
Hey.
Trent Dilfer's got a ring.
So does Nick. so does Nick Foles.
We can't even sit here and argue about that because Nick Foles played a really good game against one of the best teams we ever saw.
Everybody has a hot streak. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I think the reason, and I think the stigma behind Foles is that he played under a horrible coaching staff because the Rams were decent. But I feel like, and we talked about last week that Fisher tanked that team. He did it on purpose, And I think the reason why
He probably got
Larry
a
Iverson
bonus
Ball-
for tanking that
Larry
team.
Iverson.
Oh yeah, for every game
His
he.
new contract. But with that going on to him, Lucas fixing the problem, we can go ahead and move on to Derek here. We can go on his topic.
Now, well, there's something I just want to touch on. Like I said, we're not a political show, so we're not going to get too deep off into like the political standpoints of it. But this federal investigation into the NCAA paying players, pay for play. They're supposed to be amateurs by NCAA standards and not get paid. But the federal government is now investigating this cause. My first question about the whole thing was, what does the federal government have to do with the NCAA?
Yeah, you think the NCAA could investigate themselves and figure it out for themselves,
Yeah.
but now apparently they need help from the FBI or something along those lines. I don't know.
Here's what I looked into it a little bit. Here's the thing. The federal government has jurisdiction over them because anytime they hand out $10,000 in grants
It
to
comes
any
from the
particular school, the federal government has a right to investigate that.
Yes.
So a grant is pretty much a donation, correct? You don't have to pay it back. It's not a government loan. So would the same thing work for a corporation? Like the federal government just needs to back out, let the NCAA do their investigations, and hand out their penalties. These kids aren't criminals.
No.
They're doing what any one of us or anybody else would do at 20, 19 years old. Somebody says, hey, come to my school and I'll funnel your dad $100,000.
And you also have to look at their background of how they're living.
Yes. They
Like,
grew up poor.
if you come
they
from
would grow up.
somebody
They
that's living with a single parent and they've been, poor their whole life, and then they've been really good in basketball and make really good grades, and then this coach comes along and says, "Hey, I'll pay your guys' mortgage and give you guys $100,000, if you come sign with my school." Who's going to turn that down?
It's not even just basketball; it's football too.
Basketball's bad. Basketball's bad.
Basketball's
and football are the two big
you
sports
don't
that bring
see it.
colleges their billions of dollars.
You don't see it
in
so much
revenue.
in football. I think
Because for one, football has such a bigger team than
Yes.
college. And number two, NBA players just make that paper now, man. They're
Yeah.
getting paid.
Only 9 players on a team. You got to think how much
I
money.
think football also has
they
a lot.
make.
Football's a lot different because them football players are taken care of. They are taken care of when it comes to food, when it comes to housing and stuff.
And medical.
Where, yes, everything. And where basketball, if you just got a scholarship just to be able okay, they're going to pay for your schooling, and you're going to be you'll be playing on the team, but they don't. Outside of that, broke kids. And I don't know. I didn't go to a 4-year school. My wife did, and every college kid, unless you're well off as family wise, you're broke. And you got a poor, you got a black kid that's got some serious talent with basketball or football, and you got a black or white booster that says, here, this and this. And being that kid, you're not going to say no, especially from the background that you came from.
Regardless of the background, it's like you're saying, these kids, they're in college. They have a academic obligations to uphold. They have, their sporting obligations to uphold, practices, games, travel. Where do they get a job to support themselves? And beyond all that, these schools are selling their jerseys, putting their faces on posters, making money off these kids. Now, I understand the rules are the rules. Mm-hmm. And, okay, they broke the rules. Mm-hmm. So there does need to be, we can't just say, oh, well, it's not, it's a bad rule, so we can't enforce it. No, the rules are, but there needs to be a change to the rules after this.
Completely agree.
These kids need some I'm not saying we need to give these kids $1 million contracts, because I know what I would have done with $1 million at 19 years old. I would have tricked off my NBA career.
Yeah.
I would have never made it.
Right.
But they do need to have some sort of compensation to support these kids.
You're correct. And maybe those kids that have that are, your 3, 4, 5-star recruits, that they need to maybe get a stipend. Maybe you get $15,000-$20,000 for that year, and that's just for living expenses. And that you don't think that $20,000 is a lot of money. But it's not at the same time. And when these kids have nothing, and I mean, my sister, when she was playing college softball, and she was doing, she was a starter for Sims, Missouri, and went to school full time. She's working on her doctorate now, but she got to work at Arby's for 6 hours a week, because it's the only time she got a chance, and she couldn't, because you're working out twice a day, and you got practice, and you have and you're a full-time student, you're going to class all day, and I think she had a day off per week, and that's when she got to work. So, and it's, they need to get something, but this is where the guidelines is, where NCAA is corrupt as hell. They're about as bad as FIFA. And they're gonna put the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Qatar's average, I think temperature in the summer is like 122, 125. Who's gonna play in a game? Who's gonna play in?
Who wants to run that much?
Yeah.
Seriously.
There's a lot of things we could sit there and break down what could happen. But as long as the money's filtering in, and the NCAA is getting paid, and them big honchos are doing it, and them coaches, the big time coaches, Nick Saban, Mike Izzo, Coach Krzyzewski, they're going to get their $8, $9, $10 million a year. Yeah. Don't worry about this kid. I could be a father figure to this kid, but I'm not going to give him any money.
See, the solution I was kind of thinking of that would kind of I don't know the exact guidelines for NCAA, but why don't they set up a fund where once they graduate and they're no longer an amateur, they can get a back pay situation for residuals.
I understand, but the back pay, you don't need them. You don't want that back pay. You don't want that money too.
But they deserve it, because not all. How many?
They want it now.
I get. They should get a percentage of it now. Don't, like I said, don't give these kids $1 million.
But now, do you take away the one and done rule? Why these kids are accepting this money to go to these colleges? Why not keep them there and let them get their education?
The reason one and done is there is because that stretch right after LeBron came in from his high school was because all these guys were, this tape looks awesome, but there were so many busts that were coming out of high school more than ever. Where these kids that were coming out of high school were like your Kobe Bryants, where your LeBron Jameses, Kevin Garnett, where these guys need to, where. The one and done was because there was poor scouting from NBA teams, and that's what it comes down to. And then they wagered a deal with an NCAA, this is what we have to do, so they can get at least a little more, just
a better proving ground,
strength and everything. Yes,
they want a better proving ground, because there's levels.
This is
a great high school player doesn't always equivalent to a great college player. You can be a good college player, and you can be a great college player, but that doesn't equivalent to greatness in the NBA.
I think what the way they made the one and done really was because, you have to do one and done, or you have to go to school for 1 year. You're going to prove to me that you can go to school.
Exactly. They needed a proving ground.
And show up to class and go to practice on time and get your grades of where you're passing. Then you know what? Then if you're that good, you get your millions next year. And I think that's what more of the NBA teams are like. Okay, all right, cool. And a lot of them guys that are one and done after the fact are actually doing really well. Really doing really well. You have your Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum. And you can go on and on with these guys. Yes, sir. I got to watch his daddy play when I was young.
I love seeing him on the Emos commercials.
I think it's so cool. I'm so glad Freeze it off that.
You also got to look at it too. There's other ways that these players could get embraced and reimbursed for coming to their schools. They could pay for their housing. they could pay for their tuition.
Let them do.
There's other ways.
Let them do
to
commercials and get the money off of that.
Because you also got to think too. All these other sports are gonna be like, hey, where's our money? Why aren't we getting paid?
But then you got
to look at the when they're coming in for TV ratings and everything like that.
I totally agree.
This sport's bringing in all these ratings and this revenue. So we can afford to play these players, but I mean, there's so many ways.
But then you have your
to
old
look
school.
at it.
Then you got your former college athletes that back in the day, we didn't get it done. We didn't do this, blah blah. And that's where the cutoff will be. And I know we need we're running low on time on this segment, and we could sit and just bitch about this, but there needs to be a change. And I think what's going to happen is the NCAA is going to get unraveled. And it's going to be so corrupt, and people are going to figure out what's going on. And next thing you know, it's going to be like, well, they can't televise NCAA games on TV. Basketball, not football. But no, and the money, like you said, there's so much money in television that, like, the kids that, okay, you're going to do a commercial for the University of Virginia? That's fine. We're going to pay you $2,000 for that. You can't. Nobody can receive anything in college. So, and it's like you feel sorry for these guys, but you don't. It almost seems like a lose-lose. It really, unless something really dramatical happens. I mean, it's I don't know, and a lot of coaches are going to get fired. I think what's going to come out when they say I have 100 people in the probe. Have you ever seen Blue Chips? You ever seen Blue Chips? That is identical. I think what's going on.
Yeah.
So
there's going to be a witch hunt.
Take the field, man. What's on your mind?
Ronda Rousey officially signs with the WWE, no longer in the UFC. So what does that mean for not only the bantamweight division, but what does that mean for the UFC women's division in a whole? I mean, who's going to step up? Who can step up at this point?
What do you think? Do you think it was because Ronda was an attractive woman? And I'm not saying she's gorgeous, but do you think it was because she was attractive?
I don't think that's the reason.
Because if that's the case, Misha Tate would be on top. In my opinion.
She puts on a show. She puts on a show. I mean,
way to get the feminists riled up early.
Oh yeah,
we got that one fired.
We're trying to be the least pissing off podcast, and Lucas just threw that out the window right there on that comment.
He's gonna be the bad guy this year.
Always am. But I'm not. I've got 3 sisters. I'm the least sexist person probably in my family. So I promise you that. I may. But who do you think, Pat? You think there's just going to be this...
I don't know, man. There's got to be somebody out there that Dana White's got to figure somebody out, because here's the thing. Chris Cyborg, she's dominant. What'd you say?
He's a dude.
Oh, my God. I'm really got to do some editing.
She can identify however she pleases.
No, that was a joke. That's a joke, but that's what steroids would do to you.
Okay. Cyborg's dominant, but is she the poster child for the UFC? Doubtful. Holly Holm getting up there in age, so she's really not the number one choice. And there's just a ragtag group of females in the UFC right now. No one's really stepping up, and the door's wide open for all these girls.
See, what I think the reason Ronda rose so fast isn't because she was the most dominant female in the UFC. It was because she was the most dominant fighter in the UFC at her time. There was nobody else just sweeping everybody up.
I second that.
She was cleaning the clocks. There was nobody out there doing
armbar within the first 30 seconds of the first round, and the fight's over.
She's mean.
Oh yeah, she's all business. She gets
knockouts, chokeouts, arm bars.
So what I was just trying to tell Derek was, who is that little girl with the short hair? That's a bad. Like, she gets picked on. She looks like she's maybe 4'10" or 4'11".
Has the shaved head. Yeah, and she was all up in her face, cussing at her.
But she's pretty too, and it's like, you get your face pounded in. And these girls, and I gotta give them props, because these guys look mutilated after some of these fights, and these girls actually still are attractive women. Not all of them. But there's that one real little girl, and she got picked on during the prelims and the contract signing and stuff. And she came out and whooped this. I forgot who it was. I want to say strawweight, maybe flyweight for womenens.
I think I know what you're talking about. What you're talking about.
But I watched that video, and this girl could bang. And I think it's more one of those, okay, you get somebody that's hurt in sports, next man up, or who's gonna take that belt and run with it. I think it's just whoever feels like they want to. I think Ronda just took it all in and was like, you know what? If I'm going to be this,
Ronda took the face of the UFC, not just UFC women's. She was the face of the UFC.
For a good year or
so
two, yes.
I really don't think it's going to hurt the UFC to not have that dominant woman. I think they just need that dominant fighter. Like they're all, you know?
I think Ronda's going to bring that to WWE.
What was
She's
the
bringing that mean,
segment?
rowdy Piper kind of look to her.
And they have and it's,
coming out with his jacket and
I don't
his
like that.
logo. And,
and she got
I'm digging it.
there should have been a little bit more original to that. Rowdy Rousey.
Well, she got bequeathed that nickname by Rowdy Piper, though.
Yeah.
So
because she's legit, and he felt very honored to let her do it. And the side hip toss to Triple H through the table.
And that was crazy.
And she picked him up, looked like it was ease, and he didn't look like he jumped.
No.
Yeah, she's a strong woman, and I think it's really cool.
I'm wondering what's going to happen at WrestleMania when she puts that arm bar into stuff, and it's going to be tap out city within the first 5 seconds. But I'm worried that if she's going to do like a Asuka type of roll with it, and then she's going to pop her shoulder out of socket.
I think you're correct, and I think there's going to be a lot of training going on to make sure that she doesn't. I think that's
knows where to place those buffers.
When Shamrock came into the WWE in '96 or '97 when he first started, and he was the guest referee against Stone Cold and Bret Hart when Stone Cold passed out in the ring.
WrestleMania 13.
That was the big deal. Stone Cold was that much of a badass.
WrestleMania 13.
14?
13.
Okay. And Shamrock, even whoever, I forgot exactly who was training him, the guy was like, this isn't necessarily real. You don't have to clinch that, Kimura lock or whatever on very hard. Where I think he took the ball and he ran with it. But Shamrock was one of my favorites growing up because he was real. I felt like he could beat up Stone Cold. That's what in the back of my mind where. And I think
in my life, nobody could ever beat up Stone Cold. Still to this day.
At that age, no.
I don't care how old he is now. Stone Cold's the baddest motherfucker alive. Bring on Chuck Norris, Jet Li, it don't matter.
All right, Bob, give me that.
Awesome.
Oh,
God. All right, second segment. We're moving on. Second segment. Put me in, Coach. What you got, Jordan?
Kind of want to talk about, real quickly, just about Mizzou basketball. Porter Jr. He was questioned about possibly starting sometime this week, and he did not play. And he has also announced that he probably he's not going to play into the tournament. How do you guys feel about that? And what do you think of the situation? Is it are they leaving it to him to make this decision? Is it is it up to his parents? Even though his father's the coach.
I read this morning that Mr. Porter was talking about that you can't. And I guess it's today that they're not taking anything out of questions. It's more of like if he feels like he's fine, he's going to play. But at the same time, I honestly don't see him playing until next season. I think that's what's going to happen to it. And,
now, when you say next season, are you saying he's going to be here for the next Mizzou season, or are you saying he's one and done and going to the NBA?
I think he's going to play 1 or 2 more years for his dad because who else would want to play for his dad?
Honestly,
you got to look at his status though.
But his status,
how he came into college,
he didn't play an entire game this season.
I'm just happy we were able to keep a couple Mizzou basketball players out of jail this year.
Touche.
It's like a curse. They come to Mizzou, and before the season even gets started, they're getting booked on bullshit marijuana charges or whatever.
It's not just basketball; it's football.
Yeah. I'm glad Mizzou kept some people that could be eligible to play next year.
Dude, I can't agree with you more because Odell Beckham Jr. would have been a top 10 pick if he would have kept his nose clean.
Oh
yeah.
All things considered.
You mean Dorial?
He's still a top 10 receiver in the NFL.
You mean Dorial Green Beckham?
Top 5.
Sorry, not Odell Beckham. Yeah, Dorial Green Beckham.
Oh, you're talking about
DGB, not ODB.
I was like, wait a minute.
He's not old dirty bastard.
Odell never went to Mizzou. You're talking about Dorial Green Beckham.
Yes.
And it wasn't just the marijuana charges. It was also the assault and battery charges.
Yes.
Yeah.
That kind of did him in too. So just keeping their nose clean no matter what. I mean, get them off the weed, sure, but you got to keep them out of jail no matter what. Seems to be the issue from the University of Missouri. So
funny saying, get them off the weed. Playing just like
Porter is looking
reefer madness.
Reefer madness. It's so true. It's a gateway drug.
A lot of signs are pointing towards Michael Porter Jr. though playing in the SEC tournament. I mean, that's going to be huge to see us see him play in this. And then if we win maybe 1 or 2 games in this thing, I say we're going to be in the big tournament. And then I believe he'll play in that, and we'll see where the team goes from there.
I don't see him I don't know, man. The season's just been too up and down with them. I don't see them making it very far in the SEC tournament, let alone even getting a bid to go to the main tournament. If anything, NIT. That's where, and it's just going to be a restart.
I don't see them
pretty much
risking hurting Porter for a useless year.
Yeah, it's he said he really wants to play with his brother, and it's all about it's about his family right now, and he wants to be there for his brother and play on with Mizzou, and for his dad is obviously the coach, and he wants to play, and he's a basketball player. I mean, he's 18 years old. What 18-year-old is not going to want to go out there and play?
You hit on that, and what 18-year-old wouldn't want to play in college for his dad?
That's why we have
with his brother on top television.
That's why 18-year-olds don't make those decisions, and we have coaches to make those decisions.
Exactly.
How much harder is it with your dad as the coach? How much harder is it?
I played ball.
He's got his mom.
Hey, it's okay. Porter's got his dad, and if you ever listen to Coach Porter, he's a very intelligent man. Like
he's no Lonzo Ball.
That's how I was about to touch him. Yes.
Oh my God.
You could have a dad like Lonzo. Or I'm sorry, LeVar.
LeVar. I'm sorry.
I just don't tell me, Derek. Don't even say that you're a fan of LeVar Ball.
I hate LeVar Ball.
Okay, thank God.
Okay, he's gonna
thank God. Yeah. I was gonna be like, okay, we get rid of this guy now, please. Seriously.
Absolutely not. I can't stand that.
It's like
I think he's ruining his kid's career.
I think all of his kids, not just Lonzo. He's doing it all of his kids.
Gonna yank your kid out of UCLA to go play in the European League?
Now you say that, but
he's
okay. Jordan hit on this last week with the whole probe happening, and that's why he's sending his kids over to Europe to play basketball over there.
Yeah,
that's you got a point.
Knew that all this scandal was going to go down, and he did not want his kids involved.
Honestly, I don't think he knew, because I don't think he has brain one inside of his skull, but at the same time, he's doing this just for publicity. He's doing this just for the show.
I can't say the man is stupid.
No.
The camera is in his face at all times.
He doesn't want Big Ball Brand to be big. He wants to build it big enough so he can sell it to Under Armour or Nike and get, $2 billion, because those shoes were selling for $500 a piece, correct?
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, but they barely sold though. They barely sold.
And they were having a lot of difficulties. They were sending people with the wrong sizes.
Yes.
They were taking months to deliver.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad customer service, and everybody was sending bad reviews. And
LeVar was
down the drain quick.
LeVar was a half-assed basketball player. You think he knows anything about business?
He was a half-assed tight end, or
he didn't even play his
he walked on and said he was the best player for the Jets during his time there for 4 or 5 days at camp. Yeah, why didn't you make the team if you were the best player? Right there.
I thought about that too, but I'm like, you're kidding me, you're better than Curtis Martin, but no, Martin got traded from the Pats a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Unless you want to touch on a little bit more, Derek.
What's put me in, coach, your segment?
Who saw the Rockets and Celtics last night, or seen some highlights?
I watched the highlights this morning, and they were, and the caption on it was that it was a preview of the finals.
Yeah, first of all, Kyrie Irving
It is unbelievable.
played in them. That guy could not miss. But when you're going up against James Harden with CP3 having his back, I don't care what team you are.
No,
you got some hurdles in front
Chris
of you.
Paul is as old as LeBron, I think. And LeBron's younger than everybody because he was one that came out straight out of college, where Carmelo and Dwayne Wade, went 2 or 3 years in college. I believe. I think Melo played 2 years in Texas, and I forget where Wade went to college, but it's it's unreal, and they're gonna, and the Celtics are gonna pick up Hayward back in a month or two from that broken ankle.
Yeah.
So he'll be ready for the playoffs.
It'd be different if we were live.
Do we get to witness a finals preview? And it's gonna be a breath of fresh air. And if that happens, it's not the Warriors and
Cleveland
LeBron and company.
I don't unless Cleveland does something to their defense. I don't think they have the cakewalk that they've had every other year.
But the trades they made a couple weeks ago, that was a big deal and they got younger. Larry Nance Jr. is a slasher, and he would make us cry if he dunked over us.
He's
just a bad man.
They spent about 12 minutes on the court together for all those trades since they've done that since the All-Star break. So they're not applying those trades.
I hear you.
to what they need to do.
Was it 1 or 2 only starts? I think
Yeah.
Nance Jr.
That
and,
first game they had together, though, as a new team, they looked
that was
damn
that was
good.
more of a.
It's going to take more than one game to impress me.
I know, but it was just like, wow, their first game together, and this is what we're going to be
I
looking
agree,
forward to.
and if you notice this year with the Warriors, they're not going balls to the wall. They're taking their time because they got gas in the finals. There's
They don't have to.
They
They're
don't have
the
to
Warriors. They know they're going to make it.
Picking up Kevin Durant, I don't care. It's seriously okay. If you had to start your team right now and you had 5 solid years of the 2 left, KD or LeBron, he's just that much better of a basketball player. I feel. LeBron, there's a reason LeBron could have went if he would have went to college at Ohio State, he would have wound up in the first round of the NFL. He's just that good of an athlete. He reminds me. No, he really was. He was the best wide receiver.
No,
he was the top
he's
5
an
that
athlete
year he was coming out.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
He's an amazing athlete.
That's just my opinion. You know, football is very much different than basketball and football, or basketball and baseball.
It was a smart business decision to play basketball. In the NFL, if you're lucky as a wide receiver, you got about 5 good years for most, not all.
And
we have those freaks.
And we were sitting there talking about the money with the NCAA. That LeBron had an H2 dropped off at his house when he was a senior in high school. There at I forgot where he was at. And
Akron.
He also had a Bubblicious contract with Bubblicious Bubblegum.
Yep.
He can do that because he's a high schooler. Now, if you're part of the NCAA, you're part of an organization. You know, they own you in a sense for those years you're there, and I hate it to death. I mean, it's the biggest. It's so corrupt, and it's everybody gave LeBron shit about it, but there's nothing in paper that says he can't be talked to, and that donations or gifts work like that, and it's. But what's kind of funny, we're talking about that. You never see that in baseball. I think baseball is one of the hardest things. Baseball and hockey are the 2 hardest sports to start from where you're at in middle school to high school to college to get up to it. And it's there's no buying. You can't buy your way to make this kid do better.
Yeah.
It's, I mean,
Well,
look
the
at
thing,
J.D.
I
Drew.
think, okay,
J.D. Drew should have been the best next like Mickey Mantle, and he was not even close.
I don't have much of a
Right.
dog in the whole fight with basketball because I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but the thing is with baseball, the reason why you don't see people like forking over money to like buy to make these kids better because you can't predict with these kids. And I'll give you a perfect example. Billy Beane, the general manager from the Oakland A's during the 2000s. He was a 5-tool. He was labeled a 5-tool player.
First round draft pick in his
With the Mets. He was going to be this next. He was basically like the second coming of Mickey Mantle, the way they described him. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the biggest busts to ever come out of
When did he get drafted?
out of college.
Early 80s?
Late 80s.
Late, okay.
Yeah, it was like 88,
He's
89.
He's not very old.
No, it was like late 80s. He gets drafted in the first round right out of high school and gets all the attention in the world, and he was one of the biggest busts to ever happen in the game of baseball. It's nothing against his talent. I don't know. It's just he just did not pan out. And that's the risk that you take when you jump straight out of high school into the pros, basically right into the fire. And that's part of the reason why they don't, like, the NCAA doesn't fork over money towards like baseball, or like boosters throw money towards the baseball players and stuff like that. That's why they go towards the basketball players, because you can tell what player is going to be big and what player is not going to be big.
And baseball is a lot different, just in general.
Baseball and hockey, I think, stand alone in their own right.
If you flop in baseball and you get sent down to the minor leagues, people have comebacks. You don't get kicked out of the NFL and come back.
I agree.
You can have bad seasons in MLB and rebound and make yourself something, All
right, third segment. Lucas, why don't you start it off? You play ball like a ...
From the way last season went, I would say Wainwright played like a girl. And we can't blame him for second Tommy John surgery, I believe.
No, he's only had one. It was just,
John,
I think he just had like bone spurs out of his elbow.
Yeah. And it almost seems like, and it's so odd with like how those.
And by the way, a little disclaimer to people: we're not saying anybody's playing ball like a girl. That's just Lucas being a dick. We're trying not to piss off anybody with this.
Right now, as what I seen the other night, Wainwright was throwing like a girl.
That's the reason why I put ... but Lucas just had to throw in the girl part.
Well, we are the Sandlot Crew, you know. The only thing we're really missing is Winnie Peppercorn. I mean,
you want to get Amber down here? No.
Oh, we could if you guys really want to. No, ladies, you're right. So,
Strike one.
yes.
Strike one, Patrick.
But I'm hoping for the best, and it's the earlier part of spring training, and dude, it takes a lot. You know, they say the ones that have Tommy John surgery then come back, and if you bounce back from it, you are as good of a pitcher, if not better. But there's a 60-40% you will, 40% you won't. You know, and we've seen a lot. You know, Jason Mott didn't seem like the exact same when he got done, and I think it has a lot to do with the way Wainwright throws also.
You can't predict these
things.
things.
Like curveball, bro. I mean, you're constantly doing this to your arm. Curveball. I mean, there was a reason my dad didn't let me throw a curveball until I was a stud. Played JV at second.
You can't predict these things coming off the
Legit.
Tommy John surgery, so it's hard to predict how someone's going to react and how someone's going to come back from it. And that makes me a little more worried about Alex Reyes.
Yes.
We need an ace, though, man. The Cardinals.
We have Carlo. We have
C-Mart.
Yeah,
C-Mart's the ace.
Martinez is an all-star.
We just don't. I think right now our main concerns coming in towards the season has to be the back end of the bullpen, not just the closer, but the seventh inning man, eighth inning man, and the closer.
We have to have your middle relief set up into the closer. I agree. Your middle relief and setup are the ones that win you games. If they don't let up those runs in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning.
And who was it that came in yesterday? Or it was Mott. Mott came in yesterday, only recorded 1 out, over 7 batters, gave up 6 hits, 6 runs, all 6 of them earned.
Yes.
That's not going to fly once the season starts.
Sounds like Mott.
He's not wrong.
I hate to. And if you guys haven't noticed from last week, I'm a very honest, loving Cardinal fan. If you suck, flat out, I'm gonna call on it. Not saying I'm a better ball player and everything, but it's and I will always touch on this. Scott Rowland, growing up, was my favorite ball player, and when he had a bad game, and when they went to interview him after the game, he goes, "I sucked," and they had a couple times where he got beeped out, but he was a very for a guy in the middle of Indiana, he was very intellectual when it came to speaking. He was not stupid when and he goes, "Well, how'd you do today, Rowland?" I went 0 for 5. How the fuck do you think I went? Or how do you think I feel? And it's like a lot. And if we got players like Colt Wong, base running, I would have got rid of him a long time ago from just some of the shit he pulls. And if Carpenter didn't have a bat behind it, well, I mean,
here's the problem with Cardinals. Our farm system, when we bring up these players, where they feel like our front office is invested into them. You know what I mean? Like they just feel like we don't buy all-stars, we grow all-stars. So that's why I feel like Colton Wong stuck around so long.
What's Matheny's boy?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That was his boy.
Matheny has boys. And something I have respect for, and as I get older, if you haven't noticed, I grew up with a dad who loved and praised Whitey ball. And if you go back and watch how they play, they spread it. A chopper down the line, or a chopper right to the third baseman. Ozzie or Templeton or anybody else on that team would run that out. Where, like Matheny, okay, if you befriend Matheny and you're one of his players, he's gonna play you. Whether or not you're good or not. Why in the hell do we have Pete Cosma for so damn long?
One good season, and then it was like 4 bad years after that.
And then 1 bad year of Freeze, and you kick him off the team.
Nah, Freeze was in decline. Freeze was never
I think the whole thing with Freeze, I'll admit, Freeze had that great run.
Postseason.
Great postseason in 2011.
Those great 2 World Series games. That's it.
Yeah.
Stats.
But even then, though, he still made that error when he dropped the ball off his head.
Yes, he pulled the Conseco under that.
Jordan, what's up, man? What you play ball like a?
Well, I play ball like let's see. We're talking. I want to spit on the combine, man. It's looking real well. It's real impressive at the moment with watching these running backs and these linebackers and all these stories, especially with the guy he's missing his arm.
Yeah.
Griffin from USC.
Yeah, and he actually just did I believe 20 bench rep, 225.
on bench press.
Intercept. Go a little bit. NFL Network is doing a really good job with the backgrounds of these guys this year, like the commercials, like watch me at the combine. You want to get to know they're trying to have you invest with these guys that are coming from Wyoming or North Dakota State University and stuff. And I think they're doing a really good job, and they make it. We're watching these guys do.
Well, they got to do something different because they did lose a lot of viewership this past year, so they got to do something different. So
one thing, the NFL's on like a PR campaign ever since. Who was it? Ray Lewis knocked his old lady out in the elevator.
Ray Rice.
My bad. Ray Rice.
No, Ray Lewis just killed somebody.
He killed somebody.
Yeah. My bad.
He killed a guy.
Yeah. a little bit different.
I hear you.
But they've been on a witch
That's
hunt.
a slippery slope to bring up Ray Rice, though. Because
They've
the
been
same
on
thing with the same thing.
I get what he's saying. That's where it started.
They're on a
Yeah.
PR campaign ever since there, and they are doing whatever they can to make these players role models.
It's not
I'm
just, and it
so
wasn't
much
just
upset
Ray
at it.
Rice. It's also the
Johnson.
concussion situation too.
Yeah.
That's
Here's my thing
really
about the concussion situation, though. These guys are getting paid for putting their bodies on the line.
Agreed.
That's what they are paid
In
to do.
interviews, these guys are saying that we know what the risks are, but you're not putting money on. You're not
Just
you're
like-
not the one that putting the money in my bank account the next week. And I agree.
So-
They know the deal.
So what's up with boxers? Suddenly they're going to be like, oh, I didn't know that getting hit in my head could lead me to being concussed. So you didn't think a 315-pound man plowing you over when you were trying to run up the middle would possibly lead to problems down the road?
That's one of the
Come
good
on
things
now.
that UFC has against boxing right now is because those lightweight gloves only protect your knuckles. You get it once, you're out. Where the boxers get repetitive blows to the head. Where in UFC you get a 1-2 pop, that guy's done.
But still,
And
getting
it's-
hit and getting knocked out does lead to
Yes.
certain effects, though. So
Of
it's not
course.
like UFC fighters are out of the woods right
You guys know
away.
what CTE, what actually happens during CTE, how you get it.
You get it from your brain,
Reynolds and
it's
starts
smacking
inside
your
the
skull. Yeah.
And and you have bleeding on the brain, and it just makes you do crazy shit. Have you guys ever seen the Will Smith movie with
Concussion. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yep.
Where that guy, that former Steelers in the truck, in the old war veteran, the original was it Veterans Stadium? Yeah, right. That the Steelers was playing with the Phillies, but nonetheless, it was and it was outside before they were blowing it up, and he was shocking himself in the leg. Also, he was taking a whole bunch of codeine and a whole bunch of other stuff because he had migraines, and he was aching everywhere, and he finally killed himself. And it was so unfortunate. But I mean, I played high school football, man. I know I had a concussion or two, but we knew what the hell we knew. We knew the circumstances. My freshman year.
We knew the circumstances at the time. We just didn't know what the effects were going to be.
You played freshman ball, didn't you?
It doesn't take a doctor to know that there's going to be long-term effects to getting your ass kicked for fucking.
But
45
for the
minutes
NFL to say that there's no correlation, though,
Yeah.
that whole thing with during the movie Concussion, what was it? Owen Wilson or was Luke Wilson playing Goodell?
Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson playing Goodell, saying, "Oh, we don't know if there's any correlation between concussions and CTE."
Yeah, that's stupid, too.
That's straight up said. Like when it came out in the press that. And Tagliabue knew about all this. He knew the reason, like what was going on, and they could have made bigger strides to help with the safety and stuff. But not to go off topic of that, but we were playing a game against Fox my freshman year. It's I don't know, you can make fun of us, but we went undefeated. We were bad. We were a bunch of bad son of bitches. All of our backups could have beat every team that year too. That's how good.
Yeah, well, we see how well that correlated to varsity.
we still have the best record ever at Seckman varsity year. We went 5-5. That in Seckman that was a big deal because they never rolled 1 or 2 more. And asshole, we went 20, 24, and 12 out of 4 years. So
Only a jackass
but
counts
nonetheless,
freshman year, but still.
we watched a kid break his neck and he got chopped off the field.
Yeah.
That game.
I remember.
Was it Cochran? Not Cochran, but it was
I forget his name.
yeah. And these guys, I knew a lot of the guys that we played with knew the guy, and it was bad because he made the tackle too. Trent was running the ball, and Trent ducked, and the guy went and hit his legs. Trent's a guy we all went to school.
The guy bent down like this to go and tackle them.
Yeah, have his head straight down.
Yeah.
That's just bad technique, and it's not bad coaching because I'm sure he's been told differently. And we know the risk. It was I watched plenty of guys get hurt. I know I messed up my shoulder really bad my senior year. My left shoulder, good thing because I played baseball. and that wasn't my throwing arm. But we all know the risk, and these guys need to just, and a lot of the players when they do interviews, they talk about and they're like, well, what do you think about how they're improving the safety of players? And he goes, we're all still going to get hurt. He goes, we know damn well. He goes, that's why we get paid what we do, and we know the risk. And they have waivers when they sign them contracts. You can't sue us for doing this, and this.
That's basically the equivalent of what was it? LT and Any Given Sunday. He had $1 million. The thing was he had to have he was like they were saying
tackles away from
Well, yeah, no, but they had to sign
to him to go back on the field.
Pacino's like, yeah, you got to sign a waiver in order to get back on the field for this last game, and he's like, fine, bring it on. And it's just because he needed the money that bad because he's had like 6 kids, trying to put them all through college. Yeah, so
as a parent though, as with Jackson, I don't want him playing football until he's in high school. Is that wrong?
No.
He can play baseball, basketball. If you want to play hockey, that's expensive, but I mean,
it's worth it.
But am I wrong about that?
No.
You're a parent.
You're a parent.
Nobody can tell you how to.
Yeah, it's like you want to do it how you want to do it. You raise Jacks how you want to raise them. But in all honesty, I think you have a point in not letting him play until he's older. Because you get him too early, and then by freshman year he's already gonna have like 9 concussions.
Yeah.
No, fuck
bad
that.
Knees by the time you're 20.
So I can tell you this much. I ruptured my spleen playing flag football and almost died in it was supposed to be non-contact.
Yeah.
I spent 15 days in the hospital trying to save my life.
How long ago?
Bleeding out. A year ago.
Okay.
Last October.
Right on. That's
not last. 2016's October.
Okay.
So I sat there and I almost died playing flag football. So I understand, but with me personally, if my kid wants to do it, I'd let him.
When is it okay?
I don't think 5-year-olds are going to start taking each other's heads off. They can barely run.
Yeah.
With all them pads on, yeah.
Exactly.
It's just like a bumbling marshmallow with all those pads on, really. With those little kids running around.
I don't know. It just all depends on the situation and how he takes it. It's some kid, I think it might be good to start him young. I mean, then that way you can, where it's not as hard of a physical as a contact is. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on your kid's physical abilities at what age they're at. I mean,
that's a good point.
You got to think. You start them off young.
You can learn better technique. You can learn.
You teach them young. Then by the time they're that age, they already know how to tackle. They already know how to hit somebody. They already know how to take a hit.
Safely.
Safely. It just all depends on your child's ability at their age.
But what's safely though? Safely, it's just I mean, you say take a hit safely, it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna get hurt no matter what. I mean, the helmets only protect your head so far, and they can't insert anything inside your brain that's going to keep your brain from cracking against your skull inside your head.
We're a few years out. We're working on it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I want my son. I always wanted him to like wrestling. I wanted him to like sports. He didn't have to be good at anything, but I think he's gonna be a ball player. And I don't think I'll tell him no about football, but I'll try to steer him into a different direction.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's however you want to do it, man.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think that the people playing ball like a ... right now is Cleveland's defense.
Yes.
We talked on it a little bit, barely. We touched on it, but like I said, they're not going to have their cakewalk that they've always had to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. I agree.
They're playing zero. They're literally watching people drive to the hoop on them. Okay.
But isn't that the game of basketball is
a
though?
Good offense. In modern day, yeah.
Not
the
the
basketball I grew up on.
What was the last?
I want to step on your toes on this one with anything, Derek, but not the isn't that the game of basketball as is nowadays? Just they don't play defense; they just let dudes walk by.
Yes and no, Pat, because you still have your Greg Popovich type teams, and you have these guys that only let up 75, 80, 85 points.
The Spurs are the most fundamentally sound team in the NBA.
I've always grown up seriously. My dad was such a big David Robinson fan, so I started being a Spurs fan before they started winning their championships. And it was awesome. It was like when the Rams started kind of dying down and not being the dominant, team in the West, we'd always watch basketball. And I started, Tim Duncan's one of my favorite, basketball players. And it's just, I think the way he went about playing, and they would only let up 70, 75, 80 points, but they'd only win by like 6 or 7, 8 points on top of that. And NBC hated it because they weren't flashy. They played basketball how it should be. And the Celtics can do that too. Because if they have Hayward out there, he's one of the best defenders too.
Yeah.
And LeBron's a good defender too, but he can't make them other four.
He's one player.
He's only one player.
One player can't defend 5 men.
He has won a championship that one day. That way though. Or sorry, he went to the finals. My bad. He carried the entire team on his back to the finals.
And it's like, it doesn't matter how many points you put up. Just like we're talking about with the Blues, except on the opposite. It doesn't matter how many goals he can block. It goes both ways, You have to find a balance between defending and scoring. Lately, they've looked like an all-star game out there with no defense. Just, let them go. It's our turn to drive down now. They've been a joke defensively, and it's sad.
But Pat's not wrong though either. It's the NBA in general.
It's a new NBA. When we were growing up,
it's a lot different though. You're correct.
In the '90s, it was physical. You get knocked on your ass, you get back up.
And then we went to the 2000s, and it was all about.
Now, if you burp in a guy's face, you're going to get a technical.
Yeah. But then we went to the.
You get guys like carried off for having a cramp.
I'm
sorry, you watch hockey, there are dudes that die on the freaking bench, and they're like, they get brought back, and they're like, oh, I want to go back out for my next shift.
Right.
Take a puck to the face, lose 3 teeth, and they're like, I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't see that kind of stuff in basketball. Basketball, they're just dainty. I don't know where it happened. I remember, like Lucas said, where guys would like get punched in the face and still be able to take a 3-point shot. It's like out of The Longest Yard. Adam Sandler. He gets punched in the face by Michael Irving, and he's like, "Did I get you? Did I get you? No, I'm fine." And he ranges a 3.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That kind of crap would not happen in the NBA nowadays. That happened in the 90s. That happened in the 80s. The bad boys of Detroit. They were the kind of team that would just like sit there and literally almost like a horse collar tackle somebody to the ground. And there was no foul. Or granted, there was a foul. I mean, you don't want to exaggerate too much. But at the same time, you can barely touch somebody in the new NBA.
They made it a no-contact sport pretty much.
And yet they try to make it as flashy as possible. That's why you got idiots like LeBron take 15 steps from half court, don't dribble, just run up and slam it. Whoop-de-freaking-do. That's why I'm not a basketball fan. It's all flash, no substance.
Well, then how it's to touch on both of what you guys were talking about, that in the 90s it was a rough, it was. We had a lot of Hall of Famers that we watched, and that were, mean dudes. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, and it was all from this video this morning. And
Rodman.
Nobody wanted to mess with Malone. He'd beat you up. And same with Patrick Ewing. But then,
Dennis Rodman.
Rodman was crazy.
He's still crazy. He hangs out with Kim Jong-un.
That's even nuts. That's even crazier. But what was it? Reggie Miller and Jordan used to get in fights all the time. You never hear about that because they were men about it. They both got ejected, but they'd come back and have a $10,000 fine and be just fine the next day if they wanted to get out. Like you said, you blow somebody a kiss, you're getting teed up. You may even throw.
You know what's funny about all of this though? The NBA has gotten bigger, stronger, stockier. These dudes are out there like, ugh.
You got point guards,
and yet somehow they've gotten softer. They've gotten softer.
The pussification of the NBA.
Dude, LeBron's built like a brick shithouse, dude. And Ben Simmons, 6'10".
But he's yet the most fragile person.
Yeah, I understand.
They act like
it because they're looking at their body as their
now flopping and going down on the ground is a skill set now to be able to sell a technical to the ref, which is bullshit.
But I think they felt. I think lately the 2000s was horrible when it came to rules and shit with the NBA because
I remember
a double dribble, whatever.
There was an article I read a while ago. It was probably early 2010, around that area, where they blamed Allen Iverson as part of the reason why the NBA became what it became. And it's because AI brought that kind of like me first mentality rather than team first mentality that you had with Jordan and you had with Miller and everybody else. That you got all these guys back in the 90s and the early 2000s that were a team first mentality, that were able to carry the team, that were able to play, and they played hard. But then you get guys like Allen Iverson, just dainty little flowers that get pissed if somebody even touches you. That, I think, brought about the new NBA.
I agree, but AI was good.
Oh,
really,
sure.
Really, really good. I mean, he was damn good, and it's like
Probably
like
the
you said,
best ball handler we've ever seen.
He was a very short 6'1". I think that was padded. I'm almost positive.
Anybody 6'1" looks short in the NBA. Come on now, let's be honest.
Like just when going, the average height for point guards is like 6'5" or over. Kyrie Irving, it looks small, but he's tall. He's really tall compared to some of these guys. I think like it's where it didn't used to have to be like that. Where I think they like, oh wow, like Nate Robinson, he was 5'7", and they thought that was like a Muggsy Bogues type guy, but he was good too.
Muggsy Bogues is like 5'5".
Yeah.
The NBA lost me when Durant went to the Warriors. It just lost me. I don't blame him, but like it's like he was like, okay, well look, they just came back from a 3-1 run against us and beat us, and now he went there. I mean, that's the NBA. They stack teams. So much. It's so bad.
I can agree with that, Jordan. Honestly. Okay, so I think we're gonna move on to the next. Well, move on to my turn. Lucas, you and I are about to have a bit of a debate here.
Okay.
It's time for you tell me what your problem was with Willow and Ricochet with that 20-second beginning of the match. Before they even get the gear off, they're doing spots, and it's maybe, cool, a couple of false finishes, I guess. Was that the problem? What was the issue?
Okay. So,
and don't tell me you have issues with the spot monkeys like the Bucks and stuff like that.
I'm not, and that's I'm not a fan of the Bucks either. So.
Oh my God,
Jordan.
You're not a fan of the Bucks.
With the deal with and Derek, I'm going to fill you in, and same Jordan. These guys pulled off pretty much a Rey Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio, just in terms. I know it's not that way, for a good 30 seconds, and nobody got any kind of contact on either. And it's pro wrestling. I get it.
I mean, they got contact. They just pulled off these high spot moves.
We watched that first 25 seconds. They didn't make the high spots. That's awesome. But it was like I was watching two men do a dance, and it was like that's. I grew up with pro wrestling was Bret Hart, Stone Cold,
The Undertaker,
Mick
Foley,
Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. That's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen live in my life, because he made it seem like he never hit you with a fist. He'd give you like the one of them real big slaps, but he was a big guy, so and he sold so well and made it seem so predictable. These guys were like, after the first couple spots, it was like, all right, I know what's coming next. When's this gonna stop? Like, it takes away. It's an art, and you're well aware of that, and I am too. But it takes away from being just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not a fan at all about that at all. I like to, I'd rather have, the bell didn't even ring, and I'd rather have the antagonist go up and beat up on the good guy, in the corner, and that's how you start the match. These guys didn't even have the ring gear off, and that one got whipped into the ropes, and then jump, high spot, jump, flip. They're throwing each other up 10 feet in the air, and it looked cool, but it wasn't like, I don't know. I don't like that style of wrestling at all, Pat. I think there's a lot of reasons why I don't watch NXT that often. Now, if I read something up and I go watch, I'll watch a whole show, and it's I'd rather sit and watch NXT though than SmackDown. I like Raw too, but that's because it's Monday nights. And, I don't know.
So you're basically telling me you have an issue with all the cruiserweights in general, then?
No.
If anybody does the high spots you have an issue with.
There needs to be contact. Not obviously there's no contact, but just make.
The thing is though, what you're missing out on, or what you're failing.
I'm not missing out on nothing.
No. You're failing to recognize as the fact that it's a lot of reversals than anything. That's basically what they were doing. They were going for a move, gets reversed, going for a head scissors, tilt-a-whirl head scissors takedown, and he manages to turn it back into a somersault and land it.
It's really cool, Derek. It's neat to watch being a wrestling fan. I don't know, Pat, and you love it. I know you do. It's something that I'm sure that I don't know how much of a wrestling fan you really are, but
Here's the thing. It's
I also don't like the Young Bucks though. Like
What
Jeff and Matt Hardy, they made contact. They were good. They were a little sloppy compared to these guys now, but they made stuff seem real, and it was But they also have been doing that on trampolines since like they were 3 or 4. They have videotapes of them like doing matches. They built a ring in their trampolines.
Well, so do the Bucks. The Bucks been doing this since they were like 3 or 4 years old. A lot of these guys start super, super young too. The thing is with the Bucks, I mean, what's your hang up with Matt and Nick?
I'm not too fond of the Bucks, but
is it because
they don't have the look at all? They remind me of a poor man's Midnight Express.
Oh my God! You're starting to sound like one of the old timers, like Vader or somebody.
I'm
not. Okay, when you say you say they don't have the look.
One of my favorite wrestlers is Kevin Nash. So bear with me,
You say they don't have the look. If you even call them vanilla midgets like Kevin Nash would, I swear to God, I'm gonna hit you.
Hell no. Them guys can roll, and that's why they're in the Bullet Club. I mean, they can work, and they can work well. But it's kind of like I don't know. Well, a little bit of muscle mass, just a little bit. And they'd be cool.
They're toned out, man.
No,
I mean,
not. Okay, all right. Before.
Okay, seriously, but here's the thing: the business is evolving, the product is changing. You can count on one hand the attention span of the audience half the time. So they gotta be invested in something. How's this gonna go? So they start off with like a 15-second of a bunch of reversals and a few high spots. That's how they draw the audience in, and then immediate standing ovation. How are they gonna go from here?
I hear you, but instead of that, not 15 seconds. That went on for like a half a minute. Damn well it did, if not more. And just somebody, in a sense, hey, when they're calling it a ring. Calling it in the ring and say like, hey, I'm gonna get you that, I'm gonna whip you to that turnbuckle and let me get a couple shots in, and then we can, keep going. And like just somebody getting an advantage. There was nobody. It was straight draw, which is cool. It means you're both crediting each other. So you're crediting each other on your skill level. I think so. It's like, we can pull this off. Let's do it. Let's see how, the reaction is. That's awesome. But I guess I'm like an old school. I was a WCW guy. Damn well. They didn't have. I used to watch Saturday Night because it was fun because it was.
But they had that kind of stuff go on in WCW with the cruiserweights, though.
I know, but Kidman, they would just get shots in. I think that's my only issue. It was like nobody had an advantage at all. And it's great.
So for a good match, so you're saying right now, a good match, somebody has to have an advantage no matter what. It can't be something back and forth.
Just kind of a little bit of edge, yeah. That's why
I don't know.
Underdogs, right?
It's like it. I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, this is what gets the audience invested. It's a typical match. It's the same fucking thing every single time. Somebody has the advantage. Somebody gets worked over for about 15 minutes, and then in the days of Stone Cold, oh yeah, boom, stunner out of nowhere.
I hear you. Not to bring his name up very much, but Benoit. Benoit was one of the best wrestlers I ever watched in my life. Unfortunate everything that happened. Killed. I won't talk about him a whole lot because he was a kid murderer and he killed his wife and everything. But I love Benoit's matches. Everything about him. He just seemed, there was so much he wasn't a big guy. He could pull off those moves. But at that age when he was right before his world title run on Raw, when he came over and he fought them at WrestleMania, which is one of the best WrestleMania matches ever, and you'll never see it, dude. You'll never see the match because it's Benoit.
Well, it's on the network.
Yeah, but they'll never advertise it top 10 WrestleMania matches. And it was like the year after it got ranked like number 4 ever. And it's but nonetheless, stuff about Benoit would pull off that stuff with Eddie. And him and Eddie Guerrero's matches were great. And they were both competing just like those two.
Eddie and Malenko would be able to pull off those matches.
Malenko was cool.
You watch old school ECW matches,
yes,
and nobody would have an advantage for a good 5 minutes, and they're sitting there,
but they were making contact. They were like suplex popping up. I'm gonna suplex you. We didn't see that. We just seen a whole bunch of guys jumping around, making reversals, fucking. So it's like, dude. Do you know where I'm coming from? There was no no.
Yeah, you're coming
competitive
from an old status of the business versus that's, I'm sorry to say, almost like 20 years ago mentality. This is 2018. It's a new mentality. It's a new way they do things. Is it for everybody? No. But to sit there and just bash it outright, it's kind of one-sided without having an argument against it or for it. Go back about 2 years ago and watch the first match that they had. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the best matches of all of 2016, if not in the past 5 years.
I hear you, and and Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, can do the same thing. And I used to watch even when he was on Wrestling Society X and he was on with Ring of Honor. He was damn good, and he could pull off stuff like that. You don't see so much because I feel like he's bulked up and he's probably lost a step or two because he's getting older.
I don't know if he's lost a step or two. He's just not allowed to go balls to the wall anymore. I mean, that's why he does the Phoenix Splash only once every like 5 or 6 matches. Yeah. Time for the big discussion. NFL free agency, guys. I mean, still a lot of speculation on where people are going to go. We just talked about it earlier this morning. Kirk Cousins probably heading towards Denver.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a really good fit for him if he goes there, I believe. I mean, he's going to have wide receiver depth, obviously, in Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, and if they pick anybody up in the draft.
Or pick anybody else up off free agency.
I agree. Yeah, that's like Jordan was saying in the draft, though, that they didn't make the playoffs, so they have a pretty higher draft pick.
Yeah,
mid-round at least, yeah.
Younger quarterback that they were trying
to
work on. It didn't work for him, but I mean, I think it'd be a good fit for him. I mean, the Jets are also looking at him. Obviously, they're an upcoming team. They didn't do too bad last year. I mean, yeah, they were supposed to be the shit show of the league, but they snuck some wins in there. That was a little bit crazy, but they have a quarterback situation. They also have a lot of defensive issues that they need to take care of. Get a backfield and some wide receivers, but yeah, Kirk Cousins, man.
Here's my question: where does Eli end up?
Eli Manning, he's gonna
going
finish his career with the Giants.
You think so?
He's not going anywhere.
Even though
2-3 seasons left.
Even though he got benched by Ben McAdoo.
Ben McAdoo's an idiot.
That was just
certain Geno Smith. And the fact that the general manager did not say nothing and it did not and the ownership never said a word. Honestly, I think he might do some good leaving and going somewhere else. He could be he could have a chance in. Oh, I'd say I was up until Blake Bortles getting that big extension. I thought he would have went down to Jacksonville.
I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, don't get Pat started on the
garbage quarterback.
Garbage quarterback with the
I couldn't believe
contracted
it.
garbage quarterback.
I couldn't believe it.
It was insane. I mean, they're trusting in him.
They're invested, baby. They're invested now.
I mean, they got the defense work with them, but
they go to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, they went.
That's right. Yeah,
it's mainly because of their defense.
It wasn't because of Blaine Bortles. That's for sure. Blake Bortles.
Yeah, it was not because of Bortles at all. It was because of Fournette, and it was because of their defense. Their defense is just ungodly.
Jalen Ramsey's unreal. I mean, it's and then they got what was it, Miles Jack in the middle linebacker spot. You know, he was like the. Did he go in the same draft as who's the one in Oakland? Mac?
Yeah.
Were they in the same draft?
Yeah.
Or was it the same year? Next year?
I think it was in the same year.
It was like 1A, 1B type deal.
So, what do you guys think's going to happen with Alex Smith?
Well,
he's the new starter of the Washington Redskins.
I feel like they're going to be. It's rebuilding. They're almost there. I mean, I think they have a good offensive line. They got that tackle from Nebraska, Schrafe.
Yeah.
You get a good Sheriff. It's spelled really weird. I'm not. Really
yeah,
sure.
Shrafe's in Detroit.
That's Sheriff.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was
no, it's he came from Nebraska or Wisconsin, and he was
Wisconsin.
He's your there's your cornerstone. You got your left tackle. I mean, you got an Alex Smith type quarterback who can run too. But I feel like he's not.
Oh God.
We're gonna come back. He's not a guard. Okay, would you take Alex Smith over Blake Bortles?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Okay, go look
Every
at
day.
Trey.
I wish there was a third option. In all honesty, I can't. I think Alex Smith is. I don't see
He's
any.
not overrated though.
I don't see any. I don't see where everybody's suddenly he spent what
He
4
doesn't
seasons.
Make mistakes.
He's a game manager and he can't throw the ball downfield.
You know what? Okay, go look at. Okay,
And when he does, he throws picks. That's why he doesn't throw downfield.
Between Troy Aikman and Alex Smith, you're going to get a guy that threw. Okay, he threw the ball 27 times. He made 22 completions. Them 7 were either probably underthrown balls or something. But he went, 2
When
touchdowns,
he
2
misses,
touchdowns, no
right.
interceptions. Yes, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And or he'll have like a 3 touchdown game for 155 yards and 1 interception.
But
you know what? That's okay. I mean,
the year before this past year, they didn't throw a touchdown pass all freaking
They
year.
also had shit for wide receivers too. They didn't. They had Travis Kelce, and that's why Kelce had like almost 20
They had
touchdowns.
Kelce and they had Jeremy Maclin.
Yeah, in the pocket, in the Chiefs' team. I mean, Chiefs are
Yeah,
not
no
that
time.
good.
But replacing Smith with Cousins with Smith, does that justify that problem? Would you rather have Smith or Cousins in that position right there?
I don't see why.
I
I don't understand why they just did not want to pay Kirk Cousins the
I don't
money.
get it either.
They franchise tagged him the past 3 years and they've been paying like $30 million a year, and they knew what he wanted.
And he showed
especially they're dicking
the
around like
skill
this.
set
Kirk Cousins is great, man.
It's because
I love
Dan
Kirk
Snyder's
But-
is a puritanical dick.
But no.
Dan Snyder is an idiot.
True, but a lot of Cousins' success had a lot to do with Schottenheimer. Same deal with down there, Matt Ryan. Was it?
Yeah.
No, Schottenheimer was Matt Ryan's and McVay was Cousins. McVay was Cousins' offensive coordinator. That had a lot to do with it. Jared Goff was a Pro Bowler this year, and I didn't really think Jared Goff was that good of a football player, but he had a lot of 350, 400-yard games. I want to say over almost 10 of them were 300 plus. I mean,
The team was actually ran how it's supposed to and how it's built.
and he was throwing the ball like if you
When you got a good running back, you got an amazing running back like Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
And it's
Greatest
Then you
show
bring
on
in
turf.
Robert Woods and Sammy Watkins. I mean, there's
Yeah.
your duel. Then you got
You
Todd
go-
Gurley in the backfield.
There's
Yeah,
the
it
wide
makes
receiver
me feel bad.
tandem.
The Rams
That's
went
the
out-
wide receiver tandem we were hoping for since Bruce and fucking Holt.
Exactly. We went out in like the 3rd or 4th week, and like he texts me, he goes, "Sammy Watkins gets here into the Rams." I go, "Get the fuck out of here!" And lo and behold, next week he put up like a touchdown or 2,
Yeah.
and then after that, like he ended up making a Pro Bowl. Too.
Robert Woods,
Gurley.
Robert Woods,
also to go with his
I mean, come on, man.
I know, and it's
and Cooper Kupp comes out of nowhere. The 3 wide receiver tandem that they have down there
Right.
now.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate
What the
because
hell?
I was listening to, I don't know if TJ Moe's not on Cable X, but he does his own little show, and I saw it on live on Facebook the other day that he was talking about what happened. They're like, what happened to Tavon Austin? He goes, he got drafted by the Rams. They were bad. And he did. If Tavon Austin would have got drafted 2 years later and he only played a year and he's doing what he does now, we'd be talking about the next Deshaun Jackson.
Oh,
Because
no.
I've seen some plays that he made, dude. He was a game changer. But if you
He,
don't have
his
anybody to
hands
block,
were wishy-washy,
he was
man.
very little too. He was a
His
very
hand,
little man.
Tavon Austin was fast. He ran
Yes.
wonderful routes.
Yeah.
He pulled off some great trick plays.
He's a
And he was
great
a
return
flashy
guy.
player,
You're right.
but he didn't have good hands. He
That's why a lot
dropped
of his-
too many easy passes.
That's why a lot of his
Every-
passes were slants.
Yeah.
Like nothing bomb, no bombs.
Everybody praised Tavon Austin when he was here in St. Louis, but he was a flashy player, but he dropped the easy passes, man.
Yeah,
Well,
all
it's
the
because
time.
he doesn't like to be hit. He's the type of receiver you say, just go, run down the field. I will find you, and that's the end of it. But they wanted to throw him across the middle. They wanted to do these slant passes.
Yeah.
He's a small dude. He's gonna get killed running across the middle of the field with that. You play to his strengths. You don't play to his weaknesses. That's so stupid. Why would you do that?
No.
It's like you're expecting you're wanting the guy to get fucking knocked out.
I can't agree more. But it's back to what Jordan was talking about with the with Cousins going over to or being a free agent. From the sounds of it, what Schefter was saying yesterday on Facebook, or on it was a tweet that he forwarded onto Facebook that he said he's almost certain that John Elway's going to be all in on Cousins,
Yeah, I heard
which
that.
I don't blame him.
No,
I don't blame
not
him
at all.
because you want your quarterback, and you're talking like.
I think that's the main thing Denver was missing last season.
Really good years.
Speaking of other free agencies, you got how about the Rams trading Robert Quinn to the
yeah.
Dolphins?
For a fourth,
Dude.
was it a 4th round pick?
When did that
Sixth
happen?
round.
And they got a 4th and a 6th round, and Robert and
I believe-
Didn't they just
Rams
pick
got
up
6th.
Marcus Peters too?
Yes,
But you got to think.
When
though,
did they trade Robert
Quinn's
Quinn?
going to want to get paid, and you got the
they're
NFL
clearing
defensive
they're
MVP on your
clearing
team.
cap space because they're also about to pay Aaron Donald.
Yes, and he deserves
Oh
it.
no! Yeah, Aaron
He's a
Donald
defensive
deserves it,
MVP.
but
He's the
getting
best
rid of
defensive
for sure.
tackle
Aaron
in the
Donald
game.
deserves his money. I'm talking
You gotta
about
think,
getting rid
though,
of
you gotta
Quinn,
think,
though,
though,
man.
okay,
That's a hard
He's
person
been
to let
prone to
go.
injury.
You're
His
true.
lower
Les
back
Snead
has
was
had a
probably
bad
like this,
problem
like
the past
okay,
couple of
heads.
years.
Heads Quinn. Donald, like it's like okay, you.
I'm
only
going
have
with
money.
Aaron Donald. If I
You
got
have the money.
two.
There's one problem. One of those things where we don't know that's probably what they had money wise just to pay one of them.
For a
Because
fourth round draft pick?
Yeah, I
For
just
a
feel like
fourth
that was
rounder?
worth a lot more than a fourth round draft.
Quinn was a first round draft pick.
So was Donald.
Yeah,
They're both. But Quinn's, and that's what happens. Fuck, didn't the Raiders give the Pats fucking Randy Moss? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to pay him. They couldn't pay him.
Well, it was also because
they want to get something for it.
It was also at the same time everybody was like, "Oh, Randy Moss, he's all washed up. He's done. He's over with. He's just
best
4 or 5 years in New England where he's just catching touchdown passes."
Season he had just over 30 touchdowns from fucking Tom Brady, if not more. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I know Tom Brady threw like 50 or 51.
Yes.
And that's like they're saying, oh, it's Tom Brady without Belichick. Nah, you got enough arm, and you watch Randy Moss outrun some people, and that was probably one of the best football teams. I brag on the 04 Cardinals a lot, but that was one of the best football teams I've ever seen that didn't win a fucking Super Bowl. They would have walked the floor with the Rams. I feel like.
And what are the Steelers doing? Still not signed Bell.
Dude,
Why are they holding
know.
out?
I don't get. That's another thing I
what's
don't
their
understand.
plan?
He's threatening to retire if they try franchise tagging him and not signing him. Or he didn't say he was going to go somewhere else. He's like, I'm either going to retire. He's like, I don't need football. I'm
Yeah.
happy with my life right now.
Yeah.
Football is just an extra for me.
Wasn't it you that said that Marshawn Lynch hasn't spent a dime of his contract? He just lives off of sponsorships. That's awesome. Like that's the smartest thing in the world, and that's probably what Bell's thinking.
And then Des Bryant back in the Cowboys in 2018. Are they going to sign him?
No, I say
Jerry
Where
Jones was saying
would
he wants
he
to be,
go?
He said Des
Who
is
would sign this man?
honestly, I
Des
wouldn't.
Bryant.
After Jarvis Landry just said he's going back to Miami. He's going to stay in
He's
Miami.
not franchise tag.
Yeah, he's going to stay in Miami for another year. Honestly, it's hard to imagine anybody really wanting to pick up Dez.
He will.
He'll go somewhere.
He will,
He's
but for a
gonna
lot
go
cheaper than he
somewhere.
thinks.
Yeah, it's not
He
going
ain't
to
gonna,
be.
he ain't gonna get
Yeah,
that
he's
money
free
he got
agent.
in Dallas, that's for sure.
No.
But
unless
Jerry
Dallas offers
Jones
him,
says
like,
he
the
does
best-
want Des Bryant back, though.
Yes, I see that.
Jerry
on the
Jones
sports
does
report.
want him.
Jerry Jones will pay his babies too, that's for sure.
He loves his players, man. There's a handful. And what's crazy is that one of the best football players I've seen, like grown up, is Jason Witten, and he's still staying in Dallas. Like they must be like they must take care of him well.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
And
So.
Nick Foles, he's also currently
He's a
a
big dog.
free agent, I believe. I think they might, or I don't know if he has 1 year.
Yeah.
He might be an unrestricted free agent, but I think he might be a restricted free agent. I'm not
No.
sure. But you got to think: is Carson Wentz going to be fully healthy going into the season? And if not, wouldn't you like to have it where you already know who you have in his shoes before he comes back?
Of course they want.
But do you
I think
let
he's
him
got
go
1
or
year
trade
left.
him possibly?
I think he's got 1 year left with arbitration. That's what the deal that like he's looking for being moved. But
I think
agree.
Philly's gonna trade him.
I believe
They're
so.
at cap capacity.
That's a draft.
Yeah, they're at cap capacity. He proved that he can be a starter somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
of course, any Philly fan is gonna want to have him on their bench. But that man, there's too many teams needing quarterbacks
No, I
for them
agree.
to not get the cap room and something to do. You know,
I
they
agree.
can.
I feel like-
I don't see him staying.
I feel
really
like Nick
don't.
Foles should like argue whenever he's say, listen, you can go ahead and waive his no trade clause type deal, and be like, just put me someplace with a good coach. I think that's what Foles was missing. Foles wasn't bad that year with the Rams until he got hurt, and then he came back and was shitty, and that's all we ever tasted.
Yeah.
That's the kind of taste in our mouth that we have from Nick Foles. But he played a really good postseason. You can't blame the son of a bitch for that.
He did.
He walked.
Pressured
he
games.
beat the Patriots by he did.
Yeah, no doubt.
What was what's Philly's coach's name?
Doug Peterson,
Doug Peterson. He's a really good coach too, though. And I feel like
former
Nick Foles
University of
is the
Missouri
man.
product,
What's that?
former MU product.
And he loves
Because,
ice
yeah.
cream.
Was yes. Yeah, I heard that too. You can have all ice cream fucking everyone.
Speaking other places, Minnesota's starting QB. What are they
Oh my God,
That's a.
What would you do?
Bridgewater,
Yeah.
Bradford, Keenum.
Me, if it was me, I would sign Keenum. I mean, he proved it this year.
Yeah. I say
can throw
let
the
ball.
Bradford.
He's accurate,
Bradford
he's
walks.
mobile, he's-
Two Rams rejects.
Yeah,
They're the
they're all in the
topics of
playoffs this year.
discussion right now.
And, I mean, it's just, I don't know what they're going to do. I believe they're going to keep Bridgewater. I believe they're going to sign him. And if they don't sign the other two guys that they don't have now, they're going to either pick somebody up via trade or in the draft, and they're going to have a competition during the offseason between Bridgewater and the new guy. That is my call. If I were them, though, I would go with Kirk Cousins. Or no,
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum. I'm brain for it. I'm sorry.
I can't believe this is even a discussion.
I know.
Case Keenum,
unreal.
hands down.
Yeah.
Bradford.
I mean, he did
What
kind
they have-
of.
prone.
Okay, we talk about
Case
what they
Keenum's
have.
young,
what they have to go
healthy.
after anything.
I say go stay with what they have and just let Bridgewater and Keenum fight it out. Let Bradford
Yes.
walk.
Yeah.
I don't think Bradford's going to be a starter anywhere anytime soon.
It's so bad for Bridgewater because
Cleveland.
didn't Bridgewater miss the
All of season-
2015
yeah.
or 2016 season because he was hurt and then
His knee.
came back in the
Tearing it up,
off
though,
season
when he was playing.
right when he was
Yeah.
in training
Tearing
camp.
it up.
Then he tore up his knee again or the other knee or some shit.
No.
He got hurt again.
Yeah, he got hurt in preseason, and it basically just obliterated his knee. And like there was talk that he was never going to be able to
Yeah.
play again. And the fact that he's
That's
able to come
unfortunate,
back
too.
is amazing.
Yeah.
But you can't deny what Keenum did with
No, not
stepping
at all.
in,
No.
stepping in over,
Man.
stepping in over Bradford
Keenum did
after
his
being
thing.
rejected
Yes.
by not just the Rams, but by the Texans too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we watched Keenum play here. He's not a bad quarterback. He's got a good arm, and he's got a strong arm. I think he went to Houston, correct? And
Yeah.
he put up big fucking numbers for like Conference USA or whatever. I mean, I'm to like 4,000 yards in a season, which for multiple seasons, and he's got an arm, and it's just good coaching. He's got
Look what he
bad
did
coaching.
to Drew Brees in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was even crazy.
That's
yeah.
that
one
was a
of
crazy
the
game.
hardest quarterbacks to keep up with. That dude puts up points consistently.
Now let's be honest. The only reason Minnesota made it as far as they did is because that kid from New Orleans can't tackle for squat.
Agreed.
The single worst tackling
Oh
job
my
in the
God.
history of football just manages to completely miss Stephon Diggs, and Diggs just walks in the end zone
Don't
for
get
a
me
walk-off
going, 'cause
touchdown.
Drew Brees is my quarterback, so I was
I like
very
Drew Brees.
upset.
We also can't forget that the Vikings could also get Kirk Cousins.
Why?
There is talk that they have.
I feel like a writer was stretching for something to write about right there.
I don't know. There's three teams.
Kirk
that they're
Cousins
saying.
is going to be the single most discussed quarterback until he actually signs with somewhere. He's going to be it's going to be one of those things like a hot supermodel rumored to be sleeping with every dude in the world until there's actual satanical proof of it. I don't believe a word of it.
The man wants to win. He wants to win.
Yeah.
He's got
We're
the
talking
confidence,
about
he's
him
got
going to
the
Dallas too. Come on.
There
guys.
was talk of
and we
him
have the
like
tape, and there's tape behind Cousins, and there's the stats and what he had to work with, and then you have to throw everything in. It was like, wow, okay, there's a reason that they got Cousins the same year they got RG3. You know, I think it was,
That's this-
Shanahan liked him.
Shanahan liked him. He didn't like RG3 as much, but the thing is, just the fact that RG3 crapped out when he did,
Yeah.
and Kirk Cousins was able to step in, that is amazing. Like Kirk Cousins' story is just one of those stories you can't make up.
I agree. You're. Well, okay, so last week they had 8 teams for Cousins. Now really we're looking at 3.
Yes.
We're looking at Kansas City.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No,
you
Mahomes.
think you're gonna put Mahomes?
Fuck yeah, dude! They've already said they're going. They're going Mahomes.
I watched him in spring in was the preseason. He didn't look that impressive. He's like, did you get to watch him?
Yeah.
He looks like Kaepernick. It reminds me a lot of Kaepernick. Kaepernick was good. That year he went and played the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Kaepernick was damn good because he was a big mobile guy. He had, he was stout and he could take a hit.
Yeah.
They've
which I
already
think
said.
Andrew
Kansas
Luck's
City-
problem.
Kansas City
Andrew
has already
Luck
said.
accepts hits. Like he will, he'll put his shoulder down and do it. He's beating himself up. And I feel so bad for him because he's like the nicest guy apparently in the NFL. If you hit they put sound effects on him on NFL Network the other day, and there was like 15 times in a row he got hammered
I
after the
heard
hit,
that.
and he goes, "Hey, nice hit, man!" Like,
Yeah, I heard that same bit.
but it's cool. I mean,
And you know what that reminds me of too is Tebow when he used to do that kind of stuff, and it was
Yeah.
just like made me that right there would just make me want to hit you even harder.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, I've always
he
wanted
was
to play
getting
against you.
hammered. I mean, Luck was getting
Ugh.
like smoked. He'd get rid of the ball and just pow, and he'd get over and go, "Hey, nice hit, man!" Like, really?
How can you hate somebody like that? In all honesty,
That Richard Sherman was even quoted. He goes, "Nicest football player I've ever played in my life, or nicest man I ever met in my life." And he goes, I picked the ball up and scored a touchdown on like their 30 or something. And he goes, Andrew Luck ran up to him and he goes, nice read. And ran away. I'm like, the dude just scored on you. Like, and he goes, Richard Sherman goes, I've never seen that before. It's like, poor Indianapolis. I still don't have a team. Do you have a team? I see the Chiefs hat.
Yeah, I mean, I have players now. Here's my thing.
Yeah.
When the Rams
fantasy football, probably, right?
Yeah, we need to do that. We
Exactly.
do need to do our little like
Whenever the Rams left,
4-man league.
my whole life I was raised by my dad.
We can add a couple.
You're a home team fan. You ride through them, through the good and the bad, the ugly. You don't switch up on your home team. You're not a fair weather fan. So whenever they left me, it was like a horrible relationship ending. It was like a girlfriend that I've loved, and we've been through heartbreaks, and then she just ups and cuts it off and leaves me. It was like, so I'm at this phase right now. It's like, oh, well, I'm single.
Mm-hmm.
I can dibble and dabble wherever I want to. I'm having fun everywhere.
I like watching.
You know? It's like a weekend-to-weekend basis for me now. Like, I'm a game-to-game fan. I've never been able to do that in my life. I've hated everybody but the Rams my whole life.
You get to ooh and all everybody.
Exactly.
It's nice.
I can
find myself rooting for guys that play for the Patriots. I love Gronk. There's something about Gronk that just like everything the way he plays. He gets hammered. He does get hurt a lot, but you understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke his back, and then he broke pretty much every like big thing that could go wrong. But
all right, final segment. Big finish. Mama's calling. Lucas, what's up?
NCAA tournament. Pat, I know you're not a big fan.
The only time I care about basketball is right around then.
Okay.
So,
Who do you think is going to win out? And we'll do a bracket after today, I believe. And you guys will have to print them out at your house and fill it out. And when we come Sunday, we'll see what we have.
well, I don't think so. Today's not like on Sunday.
It's like quick, bro, because they have
what about the
64 teams? And
the tournaments? The SEC tournaments not till next weekend though.
I thought it was that.
No.
Oh, okay, never mind. My bad. I'm way off. So it's next. Okay, so next weekend will be the
selection. Should be selection Sunday next weekend.
If we do, depending on the time. But I got Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to be my just kind of sneak team. They're the one that's going to go far. Who's going to win it like all together? I don't know. I like Xavier. So, my bad. No, sorry, not Xavier. My bad. Villanova. Correct.
Jordan.
Well, I'm just excited for Cardinal baseball to be here. I'm excited for the season to start. I'm ready to see this lineup. Our defense has improved big time. I'm excited to see how dangerous our batting lineup is going to be. I'm just a little concerned about our pitching, as of everybody else in St. Louis. I'm just ready to get it started so we can shut everybody up and we can get this just the season rolling, man. I'm ready. Wainwright, pitching staff, Martinez, everybody, new guys. I'm ready to see it all. I've been itching for it, and I've been ever since NFL got over, even though it's just only been a month. But I'm waiting. I'm excited. I think we're going to do good. It's going to be a tough division with Milwaukee and the Cubs right there with us, with them signing good people as well and have good lineups and good pitching rotations.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, man.
For sure. Derek?
Well, I just want to let the Cardinals front office know that Mama's calling, and they say it's time to cut a check. We've had a great farm system for a long time. We grow all-stars. It's time to pay one. We need one back here in St. Louis. Now.
Can see
Ozuna
that.
was a small step.
Yeah.
Big step, though. He was the second or third in MVP voting.
Yeah.
So it's sorry in the NL. My bad.
Yeah.
That's how they break it down, and shit. But it's still. I mean, yeah. When you hit behind Stanton, you're going to get some pitches.
Yeah.
So
We just need to go after a
Who?
superstar.
not next year. It's going to be next year.
Yeah, it is, obviously.
Trout.
We struck out this year.
Trout. No, we offered.
Yeah,
We tried. We tried.
did. We can't. You cannot blame them on that. You can't.
No,
If
I'm not
anything,
saying
I
they didn't
think it's
try,
gonna be Machado.
I believe so too.
That'd be nice.
Unless he ends it, like the only other team that I could see Machado ended up with is the
Ozuna,
Yankees.
That's okay. It reminds me a lot of like an Edmonds, Rules, Roland, and Edmonds, or no.
That's going to be really tough, man.
I've just-
he wants to go to the Yankees.
We've been
Yankees
second
like-
best on these contract biddings for too long for
Yeah.
these superstars.
Well,
We've been second best for too long on these contracts.
Bryce Harper said he wants to go play with Chris Bryant, his buddy in Chicago.
Yeah.
Holy shit! And I bet he.
That'd be
I
the
almost
worst
played
thing
like
for this century,
yeah.
man.
That's scary as hell.
I don't think it'll end up happening though.
No, he's gonna be the first $400 million player, and he's not gonna win.
And he's gonna play with the Dodgers.
Nice. That's how it happens too. That's how it happens too.
I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right now. He's gonna want $400 million, but the only team that's gonna give him that is the Dodgers. Saying that right now. All right, me. Mama's calling on the higher ups inside WWE because they got to realize at this point, Kevin Dunn out of touch, Vince McMahon out of touch. They just need to let Triple H run things, and no, they need to just let Triple H and his staff basically run things. The whole Roman Reigns situation is starting to become more ridiculous, and they're already planning for a contingency plan for WrestleMania. So Roman might end up getting that 60-day suspension because of the whole steroids thing. So then Braun gets thrown in the match, and then it turns into like a fatal 5-way for the Intercontinental title. They're going to have to figure out something else. And I think it's about time just move on from Roman as the top guy. It's not going to work anymore. Fans aren't going to buy into it. They're trying to make him the biggest face as possible.
They've been shoving him down the throat for about 4 years now.
And they were like, oh, he's the breakout star of the Shield. No, Rollins. Rollins is the breakout star of the Shield. Because Seth was the first world champion out of that entire group.
Yeah. So
that's my take on it. That's why Mama's calling for the higher ups to finally step down.
I want to finish on this. Derek, I'm glad you got to show up.
Absolutely, had a great time.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry for getting here late, and these guys were hanging out, and my wife and kid were upstairs making noise as hell. So,
all right, we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy.
See you guys.